So Danny, good to be back out in Spain. First of all, good to see you. How you doing?
Yeah, it's been a while, Paul, isn't it? I've been better, to be honest. I've been very ill for the last couple of weeks, but I don't know if you can still hear it in my voice, but I'm slowly coming out of it, I hope. But it's been a rough couple of weeks, I'll be honest.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think that, this video is probably going to get a lot of views, a lot of eyes on. People are going to watch this, and I did a video earlier in the week where I said that my viewers deserve an explanation, and I feel that they do. Not just from me, but also from you. And as I said to the viewers, it wasn't my place to tell your story or to speak about your business, but that's why we're here today.
Absolutely.
To be completely transparent.
Yeah.
To tell our viewers the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and to put some of the stupid and, if I'm honest, quite childish rumours that have, emanated and are floating around, particularly on X, which is, if I'm honest, Danny, has become a bit of a cesspit as far as rumours are concerned.
Right.
Let me take you back to, or was it about 2.5, 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah, I mean, look, this story, I think, goes back even further. It depends on where you want to start. I'll let you
yeah,
start.
We'll start at the actual incident that has led to both me and you deciding that, what's the right way of putting it?
Enough's enough.
Well, enough's enough, but someone said the other day on one of the comments I read that you guys are out of your depth here. And you know what, Danny?
Maybe they've got something there.
I think they had a point. I think they had a point, because
Yeah.
what I want to say before we go any further is that up until 13 months ago,
Yeah.
I was a watch YouTuber. Never spoken about politics in my life, certainly not publicly. And I decided that I wanted to talk about another passion of mine. All of my careers, which Danny, going back over the years, football, boxing, watches,
Yeah.
politics, all of my careers have involved a passion. So I thought I'd give the politics a go. But I think that within that 13 months, maybe my voice became a little bit too big, a little bit too loud, and a little bit too important, say, for some of the authorities. Now, let me take you back 2.5 weeks. I was actually laying in bed. You was due to come back to the UK from Spain to visit your dad, who's not well, and it was also your daughter's birthday, so you sort of was killing two birds with one stone, as it were.
Yeah.
I'm laying in bed and I got a text message from a mutual friend of ours who was picking you up.
Yeah.
I'll let you take over the story from there, really.
So this was on the 9th of April. I was flying back in, and my daughter's birthday was just after that. I was visiting my father, who's very ill at the moment. And we might as well throw it out there as well. I was due to go and visit our friend in prison.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a record of that visit, because that all has to be pre-arranged through Tommy's ex-wife.
Yeah.
Everything has to be, or wife, whatever it be, everything has to be above board, and it all has to be pre-arranged. You have to submit your details, you have to have your,
They know who's coming.
Yeah, they knew I was coming. Let's leave it at that. I get to Gatwick Airport about 10:30 at night, and
So you're quite tired, long day, journey.
yeah, I had a pretty couple of night of rough sleep beforehand as well, which didn't help. I was trying to fall asleep on the plane, but then you get chatting to the person sitting next to you and you don't fall asleep. Anyway, I get to Gatwick Airport, do the 15-mile walk from the plane to where you go through passport control.
Was this the North or the South terminal? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Probably the North terminal.
I'm guessing it was the North, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be the North terminal.
Quite possibly.
EasyJet?
Yeah, it was EasyJet.
North terminal, yeah.
Yeah, North terminal. So I go through the scanner, put my passport in, try again, put my passport in, seek assistance. So I spoke to a lady, she said, oh, you just need to go and queue up with the other people and go through the passport control. So I went through passport control, gave the passport to the lady. She said, oh, there seems to be some sort of crease on your passport. She said, I think that's why it's not going through. Can you give me a second? But I can't leave you standing here. You just have to come over with me to this little hold area, which I think...
The famous pen.
Well, I call it the pool pen, funny enough.
I've had 3 visits in there.
Yeah, so basically it's just a little glass cube in Gatwick Airport. You've not gone through passport control, so I guess you haven't entered the UK at that stage.
Yeah, it's a holding pen,
Yeah, holding pen. I mean, it's still on view of everyone that's going by. It's a bit embarrassing, to be fair, but, it is what it is. And as soon as I got in there, I held the phone up and to send you a WhatsApp saying, I'm in the pool pen, thinking it was, I'm just going to get the... There you go, mate, off you go type of thing.
Yeah.
I'd messaged our friend, the driver, who was kindly waiting for me. And I said, look, I might get detained here because I remember the last 3 times you've come back from Spain to the UK. You've been in there 40 minutes, 30 minutes and so.
Yeah, not too long. To be fair, not as long as that, but 20 minutes
20
maximum,
minutes or so.
I suppose.
Well, he's expecting me to come out. I didn't have no luggage. I only had me hand luggage because I was only there for a few days and I've got a couple of bits and bobs at my dad's anyway. So anyway, I've sort of tried to sort of dot his card really. I might get, sort of held up here type of thing.
15-minute delay
that
or
sort
whatever,
of thing.
yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and as I held that up to record that to you, 3 undercover guys come in, said, hello there, we're from the counter-terrorism police. I went, right. And I was actually, at that time, thinking, this got to be a wind-up. Jeremy Beadle's got to come out in a minute. This can't, all right, Paul, you got your point. Where are you?
So they introduced themselves as the counter-terrorism unit? Or
counter-terrorist police,
Yeah. And there was 3 of them, yeah?
There was 3 of them, yeah. They said, we need to take the phones off of you. And I said, whoa, hold on a minute. Am I under arrest here? They went, no, you're not under arrest, but at the moment you're being detained. This was 10:30, 11 at night. So I went, okay. They said, look, to make it... Let me just
stop you there for a second, Danny. At that point, when you had the counter-terrorism unit in front of you, when you realised that it wasn't me and a few of the lads having a wind-up and, this was serious, what was your initial thought?
Pinch yourself.
What's going through your mind at
Pinch
this
yourself at the moment, right?
Because you told me earlier that you did physically pinch yourself.
I did actually, when I was actually further down the incident that went on. I actually thought at one stage, surely this can't be right. At the time, I had a YouTube channel, a small thing that I'd just set up, as you know, that I hadn't even sort of started, so I thought it's nothing to do with any of that. So I just thought it's got to be, because I then put 2 and 2 together, you keep getting put in the pen for 15, 20 minutes, and I'm thinking, I'm sure Paul hasn't ever been sort of spoken to by the police.
Terrorism,
Which is a serious word. Now, going back to what going back to what you just asked, for someone that's never had a speeding fine, a speeding ticket, or going through a red light, or arrested, put in the back of a van, questioned, never been asked anything. I mean, never nicked a penny sweet in my life, For someone that's got a completely clean slate, to actually have an absolutely nothing sort of chat with a police officer, to possibly, I think, one of the worst words you could use, certainly on someone, certainly on someone of my I've led a clean life. Don't get me wrong, I've been involved in all sorts of boxing and bits and bobs, but never had any problems with anyone, and certainly not broken the law.
You're a straight player, as they say.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I say, I've met a lot of characters, being in the pub trade.
We've all met characters.
I've got quite a few of these sort of characters as friends. But friends, not associate friends, if that makes sense. Moving along, they said to me straight away, right, it's a bit embarrassing for us to chat with you here. Do you want to just come with us to another part of the airport? So at that time, I'd had to hand over my phones. And they said, we need your pins straight away. You're being detained under the Terrorism Act 2000. So I said, well, with total respect, not ever being in a situation like this, and I'm not trying to cause trouble, I said, I need to speak to a legal representative at this stage before I give over my pin.
Yeah, very wise.
Here's a leaflet they gave me. They went, there's a leaflet, have a little look at your rights, and this is where we're holding you and stuff. Can I just, at this moment, say the officers that detained me were, if you ever get arrested, they're the people you want to arrest you. I'm very pro-police, and they were nothing but polite, professional, respectful. I had a supervisor during the course of what comes up, popping in every 45 minutes to check my welfare, that if I needed anything to eat, anything to drink, blah, blah, blah. But we'll come to that later. But I just wanted to put that out early, that the officers, and I have got their names, but it's not fair for me to name them. They were very respectful. Yeah. And to be fair, anyone I've dealt with since then has been very respectful.
Yeah. So let's get it clear. You're not shooting the messenger, as it were.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
We'll come to the rest of it in a little while. But yeah, so I got in, I had to go through the back part of the airport with these officers. They were in plain clothes, but they had obviously all the ID and bits and bobs. And we went into a little Mercedes Vito van, unmarked, drove to another little part of the airport, where there's a little room, a little area. You can't call it a prison, but you're being detained. It's a bit like, I would say, the sort of reception of a police station, if you like. So we go into a little room.
You're not handcuffed or anything?
No, I wasn't arrested.
Yeah.
I was detained.
Yeah.
Now, there's a big difference with this, which obviously I've learned since.
You're certainly not, at this stage, you're not free to go. If you're detained, you're not free to go.
I couldn't walk off.
Yeah.
The only thing I could say that possibly I could have done is probably turned around and gone straight back to Spain, because I hadn't entered British soil until you go past border control, as I understand it. But this is all after, they've got my phones, right?
But why would you need to do that, Danny?
Well,
you wouldn't.
Absolutely not. But when you're met with that completely, it's like you turning round the corner and somebody hitting you in the head with a sledgehammer. It's just unexpected. You're not ready for it. So we go to this little area and we go into this little interview room, tape recorder. I said, "What's the recording for?" I said, "Am I under caution?" They went, "No, it's just so we can record what we're talking about," which I don't know whether that's right or wrong.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it would be right.
Yeah, I'm sure. Listen, I'm pretty sure no one did anything wrong, right, as far as the law is concerned.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was saying I can't really go any further with any of this until I've spoken to someone. And this was quite late at night, so getting hold of a solicitor.
How long did that take?
It was difficult to say because I wasn't really looking at the time. I would say it was a good hour and a half. That's how it felt. So we're just sitting there making idle chit-chat, to be fair, for a little while. Let's fast forward a little bit. I don't know how long this would have been. Let's say it's an hour and a half of just sort of sitting about. I had a couple of glasses of water. They asked me if I wanted anything to eat. I didn't. The last thing you want when you're in that situation is to have something to eat. Yeah. Puts you right off your dinner. And then I'm just fast forwarding this quite a bit. Spoke to a solicitor on the phone. After about an hour and a half, they said, pretty much, you've got to cooperate. It's as simple as that. You haven't got a choice here. You don't. Let me just run over this act with you, because obviously now I'm a little bit more up with what it means. You have to give over your phones. If you don't, you're immediately charged. You have to give over your PIN numbers. If you don't, you're immediately charged. I was searched, so they took my baggage from me. I only had hand luggage, but things like, your passport and things like that, that's all gone. That just goes. The phones, you have to give them the PIN, which they check with you there and then. You have to take off any Face ID. You have to give them any cloud information. I mean, I'll never back my phones up. I'll be honest with you. I'm too tight to pay £2.50 a month to back up my phones. So I find it a waste of money. So anyway, you have to give them all that. You also don't have the right to remain silent. So like you would if you was arrested normally, you don't have the right to remain silent. So you have to answer their questions. Which, okay, right, it is what it is. Nothing to hide, but you don't have to be arrested for any type of suspicion. They can just pull anyone. So that could be, a 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, maybe, I don't know, or a grandfather. They can pull you for no reason whatsoever. It doesn't matter. This act just is a blanket, anyone. So after I'd been searched, my phones were taken. I'd spoken to the solicitor.
DNA taken, pictures?
Well, I gave them the PIN to my phones. While we was waiting for the solicitor, they said to me, look, you are going to have this done, and if you don't have to have it done now, you get arrested and then taken to a station, and it's forced on you anyway. So I had to go to another room in this area. I had to have my fingerprints taken, and it was very palms, side of your hands, tips, fingerprints, each finger, hands, everything. I had a bit of a problem because I've got an injury from boxing, so I struggled with turning my wrist. That's where my problem is at the moment. I can't turn my wrist. But the officer that done the fingerprinting was amazing. You know, he sort of helped me go down while I was trying to twist. So like, my body was twisting, not my wrist. Yeah. But again, the officer that took all of the you know, bits and bobs. So that was the first thing. I then had to have swabs done inside my mouth. They were put into little tubes. And then I had to have, I think it's 16 or 18 photographs taken. Now, if as I understand it, if you're arrested normally, you have a front, side, and that's it, you know, in front of the height thing. Yeah. So I'm standing in front of the height thing, but they sit you down. Excuse me, my nose is really running. They sit you down and you're taken here, you know, everywhere. So now, bear in mind, for someone that feels they've done nothing wrong, you're stopped from entering the country that you were born in, that you've got a passport for. You are searched, your personal possessions are taken, like your hand luggage is taken, your phones are taken, your PIN is demanded, and you cannot not answer their questions. On top of that, you've got your fingerprints, DNA swabs, and photographed. And then we had to talk until the interview was over, basically. They can detain you for up to 6 hours with no further need for anything else. With total respect to the police, a lot of the delay was the solicitor, so that wasn't their fault.
Yeah. How long was you detained for?
I think I left there, I can't remember the exact time. Our friend, he won't mind, Mark, the driver, he would probably have a better idea than me. I would say I probably left the airport at about 3:15 in the morning.
Right.
So it was quite some time.
Going on to questions, Danny, I think from a legal viewpoint, it might be pertinent not to mention the precise questions, but what we will say is, or what we can say is, they didn't ask you about anyone or any person in particular.
No, that would be fair to say. It was basically put to me, look, you know, it's flagged up. You're sitting here in this room charged with the T offence. Or not charged, sorry, that's the wrong thing to say. You're being detained and asked. Yeah. We're talking about the T Act. Yeah. Why do you think you're sitting here? That's pretty much, they put that question to you, and it's down to you to sort of say,
answer it,
there's obviously a reason. Yeah. Now, obviously, you have been back to the UK a few times from Spain, obviously coming out here, visiting your daughter, and you got put in the pen. So I'm thinking, that's the only link. Yeah. I mean, that could be the only link. The only other link would be that I was going to see Tommy in prison on that visit. Yeah. Now, I think we might as well, while we're on that subject, quickly touch on Tommy. There's been a lot of comments on my channel, your channel, and there's an awful lot of speculation on other YouTube channels as well about what's gone on. With Tommy, right, I think people think that I go out on, well, before he was in prison, we go out on a Friday night, we phone each other up, you know, we meet up for meals and bits and bobs like that. I've met Tommy in my life twice, personally, where I've spoken to him directly. The first time was back in March last year. So we're talking just over a year ago, so 12, 14 months ago. Yeah. When I had to fly back for my ex-wife, who was taken very ill and sadly passed away that week in hospital. I had to get back very quickly, so it was a last-minute thing. I was sitting at Alicante Airport on the aeroplane with Ryanair, or I can't remember, or EasyJet, I can't remember. And a guy walks along I'm sort of about 6 rows back. Guy walks along the corridor, I'm thinking, I recognise you. I thought, oh my God, it's Tommy. And I just stood up and sort of said, hello, mate, and just shook his hand. He said, hello, mate, how are you? And that was it. And he sat back one to the left. So I had a little chat with him, you know, as I would with Mike Tyson or blooming Phil
anyone,
Mitchell. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, the Mitchell brothers off of EastEnders. You would talk to them if there's any, you know,
conversation
signs.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, I text you, because obviously we'd started talking about politics at a similar time. I said, you're never going to guess who I'm sitting next to. I said sitting next to. I wasn't, you know, he was there. And you went, go on. I went, Tommy. You went, oh my God. Because you hadn't met him at the time either.
No, I hadn't. No.
Yeah. So and I just found it quite funny that we just started talking of politics and of all the flights, of all the airports and of all the seats. He could have got on the back and I'd never have met him. Anyway, then we get to the other end and we walking through passport control together. And that was it. We had a chat while we was in the queue. He said he was interested in watches, and I said, oh, I was on Paul Thorpe's channel. He hadn't heard of you at the time. I remember him saying that.
Yeah.
So that was March 2024. So as far as, you know, we've all been friends for 50 years and all that, well, a load of old tosh, right? The only other time I met him was in October, when quite a few of the YouTubers were all going to fly back from Alicante to
myself included, but
you and Richard.
I was unwell.
Absolutely. So you and Richard were going to join because you were sitting on the seats, and I remember on that flight there was a couple of people who were coming along with kids. I said, you can sit there if you want. I said, because I know the people are not going to be coming. He's ill. So they sat there. Anyway, there was a few other people. Ezra was there, the Voice of Wales was there, the German lady, Vicky, was there, all on the same flight. And there was a few other people, you know, media people. And that was the reason we all went, because I already had a flight booked for that, because we was coming back for the march in London. And I already had a flight booked. And then you said to me, oh, we're all travelling back together. How much was your flight? I went, it weren't a lot. It's, why don't you rebook it and we'll travel back together? The only reason I'm on that flight was because of that. And obviously I had a driver at the other end. I was talking to Tommy and I said, look, at the other end, our friend's waiting for us. Do you want a lift anywhere? He went, yeah, I haven't got anything arranged at all. He said, otherwise I've got a taxi. I said, look, he's going to be there. He won't mind dropping you off. The only other time I've met him. So that's 2 times. Both of them was on an aeroplane, weirdly enough. So I just want to put that rumour to bed that, you know...
Yeah, because you was described by someone the other day as one of Tommy's chief lieutenants.
Oh, now, God's sake.
I mean... To be fair, that would be, in many ways, that would be a compliment, but it's pushing it a little bit, to be fair.
Mate, it's a bit Mickey Mouse and, you know, Donald Duck, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, look, I've met the guy twice in my life. When I went back with him, I had his number. I think I had his number. I think we swapped numbers originally when I met him in March. Because I had a good chat with him about watches and stuff. But that's as far. Even when I've been on the one march, which was in July, I never even spoke to him on that day. I was at the security pass with all the other guys that, you know, was there. So I was sort of round the back, but I never met him or spoke to him. I didn't get on the stage.
In between this, I've got to meet Tommy, and I've met him a few times and got to know him perhaps a little bit better. So that just so that people know the timeline. So. There's people have been saying, "Oh, have you fell out with Tommy? Have you
dumped
back
Tommy?
Him? Have you dumped him? Has he dumped you?" The answer to that is that is a totally irrelevant question. The answer is no. And the reason that Danny and I have been sort of pulling away is because of the issue that we're now talking about. In fact, I had a message directly from Tommy the day before yesterday. Saying that he totally understands my position and that, thanks for your help in the past and, no hard feelings, as it were. But going back to the main topic. So your question for 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it is.
Probably question for 2.5 hours, to be fair. 2 to 2.5 hours. Well, probably not even that, to be fair, because the time you do all the swabs, the fingerprints and the photographs, there's probably an hour there. The time I was waiting for the solicitor, there's a bit of time there. So maybe an hour and a half of sitting down with the officers. And again, can I please say they were very respectful and I have got no issues. I've always been pro-police. Always. In fact, when I left school, I wanted to be a police officer.
I have a love-hate relationship with them. I support the police. I just wish they would do their job. How can I put it? In some instances, do it better and also understand that we're actually on their side. We're the ones that want to keep the peace. We're the ones that want a country that's great to live in, safe to live in, and peaceful to live in. We actually support those guys. As many of the people that are in my phone right now are current serving or former police officers.
Yeah.
And you know some of those guys as well.
Yeah, I do indeed. Top people, can I just say?
Top people, by the way, as well. Danny, how did it affect you? Because look, I know the answer to this, but I want the viewers to know. You've been pulled, detained, and questioned by the counter-terrorism unit.
Yeah.
As a guy with a completely clean background, a family man, lovely kids, lovely wife, what are you feeling at this stage?
I'm going to say the officers themselves were amazing. It was the law. I don't even think it's a law. It's the act that they use.
The establishment.
Well, it's the act, the actual, because it's the Counter-Terrorism 2000 or the Terrorism 2000 Act, I believe is the actual phrase. So that act, I believe, is intrusive.
But Danny, let me stop you there. I think the Counter-Terrorism Act should be intrusive for the right reasons when you're pulling up the right people.
But then...
I think my question to you was, how has it made you feel mentally, physically? What has it done to you? Because I know you've told me.
Yeah,
I want you to tell the viewers.
I've had a serious problem with it since. Look, right, a lot of people are going to sit there and say, oh, first hurdle, this just happens to you. Let's just remember our friend in prison was detained under that same act, right? And he's got a much, much bigger profile than I. Paul, I have only ever appeared on your channel. I've been on Liam Galvin's channel.
If they're watching you, they're obviously watching me.
I would say they're watching you and then see me. You know, I'm the smaller cog. Listen, in this whole movement, it might look like, you know, I was arranging the stages and the marches and this. I don't arrange any of it, as you didn't. I know you didn't. We spoke about it on your channel to promote the event.
We promoted the events.
Promote the event. Okay, that was it. Okay, that was really the involvement. Okay?
So that's no reason to be pulling you in under a counter-terrorism act, is it, in my opinion?
I don't believe so. Obviously, someone has triggered something. Someone has said, have him when he comes through. It hasn't just happened like that, has it?
And the question is, why you and not me? I mean, they'd already pulled me 3 times. But hadn't questioned me.
Yeah. Maybe they start from the bottom.
Yeah, I was in shock, Danny. And I mean, look, you know, I hope you don't mind me saying this. I know that this affected you mentally, emotionally, physically.
Yeah. Well, I'm still not well. You might not be able to hear it in this interview.
Shock?
Well, you're just not ready for it, Paul, right? Like I said to you just now, it's like turning left and there's a sledgehammer at you in the face because you're just not ready for that. You go through even if they'd put me in the pen for half an hour, I would have thought, right, this is what's happening to Paul. This is the establishment saying, you know, don't get too cocky. Don't get too cocky. All right. And at that time, I left the driver Mark. He was told by the police. The police kept in touch with my father. That was my biggest worry because my dad would have been stressed. He's very ill anyway, and I didn't want to send him over the edge and have a heart attack or something. So they stayed in touch with him, thankfully. They also stayed in touch with the driver, thankfully, and he waited 5 hours for me in the Costa Coffee, which he didn't need to do. So I have to thank Mark for that. But on the drive home, I just said to him, you know, this is going to change everything. I'm done. I want to go back to the UK to visit my daughter for her birthday, which it ruined, by the way, because I didn't get back home to my bed till about 6 in the morning. And then I didn't just go to bed now.
I can tell the audience that you didn't sleep for 3 nights.
Absolutely. So I didn't even see my daughter on the birthday. That was the following day. And
affected your dad, didn't it?
Affected my dad because obviously he was up all night and he's got carers and stuff like that, so they were all sort of put off. And obviously I didn't get. I mean, we might as well touch on it. I said to the police, I said, look, I'm supposed to be seeing Tommy here. What's going on? They said probably not the best idea. So I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to wave a red flag to the bull anymore.
Yeah.
So I spoke to you. You made the relevant calls, and it got back to Tommy that I had to cancel that for this reason, which, as I understand, he was very understanding about it. And look, right, at the end of the day, like I've said on my YouTube channel, which I've started recently, my YouTube channel isn't going to be about politics. It never was, even before any of this went on. It was always going to be,
Yeah.
you know, the whole reason I set that up. But basically, I've not earned a penny out of YouTube. I've been on your channel now for 5 years because we used to talk a lot about watches, more so than we've ever.
People tend to forget this, Danny.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
think we've only been around for a year.
Yeah, no, 5 years now.
Yeah.
We've been on lives
Yeah.
and bits and bobs and going to watch events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well before the politics even come into it.
Yeah.
So I've been on your YouTube channel for 5 years, and up until this day, I haven't never taken one penny from YouTube.
Yeah.
So we've been called grifters, and we've been called, which is ridiculous, but we've been called grifters, and we've had a bit of bad publicity and it was me that's decided to pull away.
Only from one or two people, Danny. I think people who have just got it in for us no matter what we say.
Exactly
It doesn't matter
that.
what we say,
Exactly
haters are going to hate.
Yeah, exactly that, Paul,
But
right?
you made the decision to pull away, which I think everyone watching this, if they got even half a heart, are going to go, wow, bloody hell, Danny. Because let me tell you something, right? This guy sitting in front of me right now is one of the most wholesome, kind, nice, decent individuals that I've ever met in my life. I try and surround myself with nice, genuine people. It doesn't always work, Danny, does it? I mean, there's been people in the past that I thought were good people or friendly, and they've turned out to be wrong ones. What can you do about it?
Know?
How do you know?
Until you give them the chance.
How do you know until you know?
Exactly that.
But, you know, you're a good guy, and I saw how it affected you, your dad, bless him, your kids, your current partner. And I'll be honest, Danny, I felt a tremendous sense of guilt myself because they only come for you because you've been on my channel.
Well, that's the only reason I can think of, Paul. There's nothing lurking around.
And the question is, what have we ever done, Danny? This is the thing. What have we ever done? What have we ever spoke about? What have we ever said that could even remotely warrant the attention of the counter-terrorist unit? I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's insanity.
Well,
and by the way, anyone watching out there, it's bloody scary.
Look, right, I just thought at the time when I left, I was driving, well, I wasn't driving, Mark was driving me back to my father's house. And I just said, Mark, this is me done, mate. I've never taken a penny out of this. The grief it's caused me. In fact, it's only ever cost us money, Paul, because I've had to fly back from Spain for bits and bobs, like if we ever done the marches, or even just flying back for the YouTube channel. Sometimes I've flown back and we've just met up in Brighton and spoke about life.
Yeah.
But, you know, all I can say is, if I was earning £10 million a year out of YouTube, it wouldn't be enough to keep me in this now, because there's not enough money outside to go inside for.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it's a good point you made there, Danny, because when you said there's not enough money outside to make you want to go inside, you haven't done anything.
No, I haven't. But there's been a lot of people that have been locked up recently. It's
for nothing.
For hurty words.
For hurty words.
Okay, right. Whatever reason, like I've said, this will be my last ever chat on any social media network about political stuff or whatever. My channel is going to be positive about Spain.
It's very important you mention that, Danny, because like what we've done is over the last year, and I need this to be very clear about this because I think we both feel the same because we speak about it a lot.
We do.
We're good friends. And by the way, I'm proud of you as a friend and as a
vice
person.
versa.
Thank you, mate. We've built up a community.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me.
Yeah,
I know it means a lot to you as well. We've made a lot of friends.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to put my fingers down my throat and say, oh, we love you all and all this. Look, most of you we've never met. But what we do have for you guys is a huge amount of respect. And I think there's a connection between us and a lot of people.
I agree.
That I want to keep.
Yeah,
I don't want to let our viewers go.
Yeah.
I don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
But I've made the decision to do the same as you.
Yeah.
Because Danny, as I said in my previous video, I'm coming up 64. This was getting to me.
Paul, can I just stop you there, right? I remember at the last march that me and you both attended in February, we sat in the car, and you might have the video of this still on your phone or whatever, and maybe you could edit it when you edit it in. We sat in the back of Mark's car.
Yeah.
And you said, I think this is going to be my last one, mate. I'm just not feeling this. Now, that was back in February. What happened to me was just after the first week of April. So it wasn't new. It was starting to affect, I think, both of us mentally. It was consuming you. I've had your family call me saying, calm him down a little bit.
I think the thing is, Danny, is I'm proud of what we've achieved. I think we've been good for people. I'm a carer. I care about people. I care about human beings. I value friendship and loyalty.
Yeah.
I always have done in my
Yeah.
life. And I hope we've brought something to the table. I don't want to let that go completely. But I go back to what I said pretty much at the start of the video, Danny, when that viewer said, you guys were at your depth. And I think maybe we were.
Maybe we didn't know what we was getting into. We just thought we was talking politics.
Yeah.
I mean, bear in mind, Labour wasn't in when we started this. It was the Conservatives.
All I was just a granddad talking about the things that mean a lot to all of us, and you're just my mate who came on to give us
As a guest.
and you end up being questioned by the counter-terrorism unit.
How mad that's gone over a 12-month period.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm continuously going over old ground. I'm not moaning at the police officers that detained me. I'm moaning at the right that they had to detain
Danny,
me.
it's the powers that are coming down on all of us, and I think that is probably the scariest part of all. I mean, how many warnings do you need?
Yeah, exactly.
Before you say, well, look, maybe I've got to
look. A lot of people might turn around and say, "Oh, you've dropped at the first hurdle." While they're sitting there on a Friday night having their fish and chips, watching Coronation Street, it's very easy to get on the keyboard and start slagging you off, me off, anyone else that
they're not in the
stuck there.
line.
You know, Jeff Taylor, Mayor Toosey, you know, Liam Tufts, anyone that's, you know. We've got to also remember that's their job, that's their business.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? That's their living.
In a lot of cases, that is their living. And by the way, whilst I talk about that, it's a good point. Another thing that I want to put to bed with a lot of people that, for some reason, worry about what someone else is earning.
Yeah.
My advice to them would be, instead of spending time worrying about what someone else is earning, spend that time trying to earn money yourself.
Yeah.
And whatever the YouTubers earn, in my opinion,
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Paul, I've known
matter.
you 5 years. I haven't got a clue whether you earn 50 quid a month or £5 million a month, right? And it doesn't matter to me. That's your job. You don't know how much I earn out of my properties and my other business. You don't know because we don't ask each other that because it's nobody's business.
I don't
exactly
care what
that.
you earn.
And what you earn, you deserve.
The only time I would want to know your financial situation is if you needed help.
Or we was going into a partnership, or we was going to do something else. Then you've got to sort of ask a few sort of more direct questions. Exactly that.
Yeah.
But like I say, what you earn is your money, and it's look right. Why doesn't, as you just said, anyone can start up a YouTube channel? You just need a mobile phone, internet connection. You download the YouTube app,
And you're away.
And away you go, right? You might need to buy some more equipment. You might need to spend $5,000 on a bit better camera equipment and mics and bits and bobs. There you go. So set it up, choose your topic, start promoting it, and away you go, right? And if someone's done that very successfully, like Paul's channel, I mean, even before the politic thing, he was successfully doing that with watches. Obviously, everything changed and watches sort of, people weren't talking about watches so much and bits and bobs. And at that stage, Paul decided to pivot his channel to talk about something else. How many times can you talk about a Rolex Submariner without people falling asleep? And it was getting to that stage because I remember us talking about it.
Yeah.
I was on, I don't know how many, probably as many more watch videos than I've been on political videos.
More watch videos and political videos. So Danny, I think, look, like I said earlier on, you're never going to appease the haters. The haters are always going to hate. And for anyone that doesn't understand how this affected you, then I would ask you to put yourself in Danny's position. Let your partner be the one that's getting a phone call saying that you've been detained, etc. Let your children be
Let me just stop you. Stopping you there.
Yeah.
I ended up in hospital, Paul. Yeah. So there you go. I haven't said that, and you know that, but I ended up in hospital over this.
Yeah.
So let that sink in. Do you think I'm going to, especially when you're not being paid, do you think I'm going to sit there and keep talking about it so I can be the person that gets shot each time? It ain't going to happen, mate.
And this is, Danny, this is the funny part, is that this is what you're dealing with, you see. Danny is a tough guy. Danny is, he's a fighter, he's a former boxer. You don't mess around with Danny, right? But inside, he's like me.
It's because I'm right.
We're just genuine soft people, soft, nice natured.
Yeah.
We don't want to be involved in all that sort of nonsense.
I don't want the trouble.
And I said right from the very start, as soon as I saw something that I didn't like, I'm walking away. And seeing my friend, my dear friend, in hospital because of him being on my channel, that made me feel pretty bad, Danny, I've got to tell you.
It's taken its toll on me. Like I say, I went straight back from the UK. I didn't even know whether I was going to be allowed to be out of the UK, but I did make a phone call to the same team, and they assured me that you're free to travel, no problems. This is probably a good time to bring the next bit up, that I still, as of now, haven't got my phones back. That's been almost 3 weeks.
And you said, Danny, that you'll never go back to the UK again.
As it stands right now, I've got no plans to go back to the UK.
Ever?
Who knows, Paul? Until things change dramatically.
Politically, until they change.
Well, yeah, when we started when we started talking about the politics, Conservatives were in. It's nothing against Labour. It's nothing against. It's against what's going on in our country. I think
what's happened, though, Danny, quite clearly. Things were bad under the Tories, but this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
Since Labour have come into power, our ability to speak freely has been, well, frankly, it's been quashed, and as free speech has become dangerous. And for any of our American brothers and sisters and friends watching this now, this is where we're at. And
look, I just hope that people will understand why this will be the last time.
Well, if they don't understand, Danny, they're not your friend.
Well, look, at the end of the day, my channel's there, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can put a link up for the channel, and hopefully people will choose to follow our journey. It's called Danny in Spain for a reason, because it's going to be about us living in Spain, what we get up to, little trips. We're going to just basically...
People saying Danny's run off to Spain. The bloke's lived here for, what, 5-6 years
Well, 4 years here. And we've been talking politics for about 14 months.
Yeah.
So I haven't disappeared to Spain because I was living here anyway.
Well, people say that about me, Danny. Forgetting the fact that I've been coming here for 20 years. It's the same thing when I came out here.
And now your daughter's living here.
My daughter lives here.
So you're visiting more regularly.
But these people make this stuff up as they go along. And look,
it is what it is.
If they get views from it, good luck to them, right? But at the end of the day, believe what you read with a pinch of salt. I've always said that I will give it to you straight, give you the truth, and
horse's mouth.
If you can prove otherwise, be my guest.
Absolutely. Look, as I say, straight from the horse's mouth. There's been loads of rumours going on. I can't believe, to be fair, how many people are talking about this situation.
Yeah.
For you, maybe, but I keep getting dragged into it. I'm just a guest on the show.
Yeah.
I've been on the show with MPs and, various people on your show.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that's get dragged in for it. Look, it's very strange, like I say.
Unfortunately, Danny, over the last year, I learned a few lessons on social media over the years. I was talking about watches.
Yeah.
Which wasn't without its issues, as you know.
Yeah.
People in the watches industry, there's rivals, there's jealousy, there's all sorts of nonsense goes on. But in general, social media,
poisonous.
It can be very, very toxic. Very toxic.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to lie about someone or exaggerate a story and for that to perpetuate. But I can only repeat what I just said earlier on. I will look this camera in the eye and say, look, guys, if you can show anything that I've ever done wrong in my life, prove it, show me the evidence. And you won't, because I've never done anything wrong in my life. And the same goes for Danny.
And that's why it was such a big shock, Paul.
That's why it was such a big shock, Danny. And I think now...
I didn't get pulled over by the traffic police and say, you've got a bald tyre there, mate. We're going to give you 3 points on your licence and a 90 quid fine. This was...
a different league.
When I was taken into that pen in Gatwick Airport, I just thought, we're going to sit out for 15 minutes, like Paul's done. It's a little clip round the ear roll to say, we know who you are.
Yeah.
And that's all I thought it was going to be. But what followed, mate? Listen, right, anyone that wants to sit out there and say, you know, you've broken off at the first hurdle and this, that and everything else, yeah, I have. I tell you what, and so would you. Let me tell you.
Well, let me say this, Danny. I think that this is what I want everyone to understand. And if they don't understand, I don't care, right? I love my country.
Yeah.
I think I've proven that.
Yeah.
I'm loyal to my people.
Yeah.
I think I've proven that.
Yeah.
But I love my family more.
Absolutely, Paul.
And I love my grandchildren more.
Yeah.
They are my world.
Mine too. My children.
And
I haven't got grandchildren.
I can't put them through the pain. There's only one man in this country that has put himself on offer.
We know who that is.
And we know who that is.
And look what's happened to him
And
recently.
look what's happened to him.
And look, while we're on the subject, there's a lot of talk about when he gets released, there being another problem.
Yeah.
Mate.
They're not letting go right now.
No. So look, I'm sorry. Anyone that wants to criticise myself, Paul, or anyone else that's decided to move away from this, step up to the plate and do it yourself.
Yeah.
If
there's
you feel so
Richard
strongly
as well, and of course, you know, I think Richard's sort of moved on a little bit for completely different reasons. Obviously, this bothered him as well, but I think Richard is not so fazed by it all.
In Richard's defence, I want to just say I spoke to him quite a bit recently. When I say recently, before my visit to the UK, because he's had some problems in his personal life, and I've been chatting to him as a friend, as you would. Like my missus talks to other girls when there's problems, you know, as you do. And I won't discuss what that is, but we've discussed quite a bit recently. I regard Richards as a really, really lovely fella. But he was saying to me, before any of this, I'm sort of thinking about, I'm done with the marches. There's been a little bit of topsy-turvy inside what was going on and bits and bobs, and I think it's upset him.
Which has been really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just bad timing. But again, Paul, that added to the whole thing.
Because there's a lot of good people around, there's a lot of good people around.
You know, and all of the people that come out and walk the streets and stuff with everyone. Yeah. A lot of these people are 70 years old,
Top
you know,
people,
ladies and people in wheelchairs and stuff. I remember the guy that we met at one of the marches, he travelled on the train, electric wheelchair from Basildon.
Yeah.
All to central London, so he could, you know.
I think what we've got to do now is, you know, there are obviously one or two other questions that, you know, we're not going to talk about because it's none of our business. But I mean, look, when Tommy comes out of prison, there's one or two things that Tommy will no doubt clear up. Yeah. And hopefully everyone can move on from one or two other questions that are being asked, which I understand. That's for Tommy and his team to deal with.
Which can I just confirm, sure we've never had any say in whatsoever.
No.
Never.
Never, no.
I mean, like I've said in the earlier part of the video, I've met Tommy twice. Once was by coincidence. The second time, the only other time I've shook his hand and been in his personal company was with some other people.
And that's not because you're trying to distance yourself.
I'm absolutely not.
You're just telling the way it is.
When people are saying to me, "Have you dumped Tommy, your friend?" We know each other.
Yeah. It will be embarrassing for you, you know, if someone said to Tommy, "Oh, Danny's been saying he's your close mate," it would be embarrassing, wouldn't it?
I don't want to claim to be, you know, oh, Mike Tyson's my best mate, because he ain't. Yeah. Do you understand what I mean?
You've met him a couple of times, that's it.
Yeah, I had pictures done with him. He probably wouldn't know me if he bumped into me, Mike Tyson. Do you know what I mean? I've met him 10 times. 5 times more than I've ever met Tommy. So probably Tommy wouldn't necessarily remember me. I've emailed him in prison, and he was kind enough to email me back, saying, you know, he appreciates what we do, like talking about politics on YouTube. Yeah. He mentioned you and Richard in that same comment. Look, at the end of the day, like I said, what's happened to me with my lifestyle and what I want to do with my life, it's just easier, let's leave it like that, for me not to be involved in talking or criticising or doing anything to do with politics after we finish this video today.
Danny, I think, you know, hopefully that clears up a lot of things for a lot of people. All I can say is I put my hand on my heart and say that I know everything you've said here today is true.
Yep.
And again, if anyone wants to disbelieve any of it, prove otherwise. I can tell you that what Danny said is true. I I hope Danny can vouch for the same, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate your interest more than anything. I mean, you know, it's quite amazing.
I can't believe people are interested in two old geezers that talk about, you know,
bits and bobs.
The cost of a congestion charge.
Well, I think what it is, Danny, is that I hope our connection with people is that we're real. We're just real people.
Yeah.
And there's no, what's the right word? There's no edge to us. There's no, we're not after anything.
Like I say, Paul, me personally, but it's never been my business. I've never taken a penny out of this in 5 years. Yeah. It's cost me.
Not that you should even have to.
No, I shouldn't have to.
Even if you had, so what?
Yeah, exactly that. You know, anyone else can go and set a YouTube channel up. You think you're going to get rich overnight in YouTube, mate?
So what are we going to do now then, moving forward, Danny? Because I know that a lot of our viewers, they don't want to lose us, and I don't want to lose the viewers.
I get a lot of comments saying you have kept us sane over the last few months.
And those people mean a hell of a lot to me.
And they mean a lot to me as well. You, Paul and Richard. And that's always what I get. And anyone wants to go on my channel and read any of the comments, you'll see what I'm talking about. The amount of people that
I've seen it. I think Richard is going to carry on with the politics. I think he's going to perhaps stop the demos and that. But, I mean, for me and you right now, my plan is, I mean, look, I don't even know, Danny, right now. I don't even know when I'm going home. I'm happy here at the moment.
Would you not consider now you're out here? I mean, I'm turning the interview around now, but would you not consider staying out here if you can? I mean, you know,
I've got one daughter here.
Yeah.
I've got one daughter still in the UK.
But wouldn't she think about possibly?
I think it's difficult, Danny.
Okay.
Because of their jobs.
There's other bits of that.
The answer is, right now, I don't know. I've got no plans at the moment to go home.
Yeah.
But I'm in the fortunate position of being semi-retired.
Paul, a lot of people also forget that you worked for 40 odd years in the watch industry, and you've done pretty well.
I did do all right.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, you're not got your YouTube money and buggered off to Spain.
Exactly.
Do you understand what I mean?
Danny, I've told anyone that will listen, my 13 months in YouTube politics cost me well in excess of 40,000 quid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now people can believe that, or they can believe not. Frankly, I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
But that's a fact.
Yeah.
And my accounts will show that quite handsomely.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter, Danny. Yeah. You know, look, will I go home? Will I stay here? Right now, honestly, I wish I knew the answer. I don't know.
I wouldn't blame you for staying here.
You'd like me to stay, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it'd be a laugh, wouldn't it? We could do some more videos together.
My youngest daughter wants me to stay.
Yeah, of course.
My eldest daughter obviously wants me to go home.
Yeah.
As I said in the video the other day, Danny, for the first time in my life...
Who's your favourite daughter then?
I don't have favourites, mate. I love them all.
I can't. That was a joke.
As I said in the video the other day, Danny, for the first time in my life, I'm going to put me and my wife first.
Yeah, and I think you should. I really do.
And whatever decision, at my age, God knows, nobody knows how many years we've got left on this earth.
Yeah. I can tell you one thing, Paul. If we kept doing what we was doing, it'd be a lot less.
A lot less, yeah. I think I'm just going to wait and see how my wife feels, because you know we've been married 35 years.
Yeah.
If she wants to stay, if that's her choice, I wouldn't be averse to it.
Okay.
Right now, I think that's probably 50-50.
Well, you're here for the foreseeable at the moment.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe we'll get together again and do a beach video of us walking along with our tops
off. Well, it's my birthday, Sally, and Danny's coming down. Oh, we don't want to do that, Danny.
Excuse me.
It's my birthday, Saturday, and Danny's coming down Danny's going to be my strippergram on Saturday night. But guys, look, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. I know we've gone on a little bit, but this was a big part of Danny's life, and because me and Danny are close as friends, it affected me greatly as well to see Danny in that state, and I thought, wow.
And I'm still not over it, Paul.
No, I know.
Like I say, I've had a virus for the last week. I'm stinking with hay fever at the moment, and I did end up in hospital due to what happened.
And you've had a dodgy haircut.
Yeah, I know. That was just an argument with a flymo. You know, let's blame Sophie for that. Yeah, not me.
Right, guys, that's it. As always, thank you for watching, and you know, I hopefully you'll stick with us, and we'll see you again soon. If you haven't already seen Danny's channel, please pop over to Danny in Spain and subscribe. I'm sure you'd appreciate that, right?
I would indeed, mate. I'll try and build it up, and I will keep it positive, and it will be a bubbly channel, not talking about politics. That's one thing I will promise you.
All the best, everyone. Take care. And as always, look after those beautiful children. We'll see you soon.